Since the temporary pause in fighting between the Palestinians and Israel came to an end just a few short days ago, hell has returned to Gaza in the form of unrelenting military attacks from the Israeli side. And we also have seen escalations in the Red Sea that could signal the potential for a wider regional, if not global, conflict. And I think now it's a really good time to look at a definition of ethnic cleansing in particular. Now, this is a crime that is not independently defined, but it's something that has been given a definition by a panel of experts after what happened in Yugoslavia. Now, listen to this definition that this panel of experts gave on ethnic cleansing, and let's see if this applies to Gaza right now, today, here in 2023. Quote, rendering an area ethnically homogeneous by using force or intimidation to remove persons of given groups from the area. A purposeful policy designed by one ethnic or religious group to remove by violent and terror-inspiring means the civilian population of another ethnic or religious group from certain geographic areas. Now, a lot of people have been throwing around the term genocide online, and of course we've had Genocide Joe that's emerged as a meme to really sum up American support for Israel throughout all of this. But meeting the technical definition of genocide is pretty tough. We'll come to that probably in another episode here. But I think when you look at that definition of ethnic cleansing, it's bordering on undeniable that it looks like this is what Israel is trying to do to the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. And why is that? Because right now, as I sit here peacefully at this table, 1.8 million people that were doing the exact same thing, sitting peacefully at a table just a few short months ago, have now been displaced from their homes. They've been displaced from their livelihoods, and they have been entirely uprooted with basically whatever they can carry on their backs. And alongside all of that displacement of people, we've had Israel cutting off all of the food supplies, water supplies, communication, fuel supplies, healthcare access, educational access, electricity, you name it, it has been cut off to this entire population that is, for the most part, a specific ethnic or religious group, the Palestinians. And importantly, what has allowed me to come to this conclusion that this is probably what we're seeing here is that the thing that Israel has done is it has tried to claim that it's offered safe haven to these 2.2 million people, that it's allowed them to go elsewhere in the Gaza Strip to find safety, but it's told them to move from the north to the south, but then it has continued to attack them in the places that it told them was safe. It has literally leveled whole apartment buildings in these cities that they told the Palestinians, hey, go here if you want to be safe, move to the south, move to these southern cities in Gaza. And then they've leveled entire apartment blocks, leveled entire city blocks in these southern Gazan cities. This is where we're really moving into this area of ethnic cleansing, because no matter where these people go, they are consistently chased out by violent and terror-inspiring means. That is undeniable at this point. And, of course, you have 18,000 people at the time of recording this. This number is going to get higher and higher. It practically almost is every time I come and sit here to do a video. And 2/3 of those 18,000 people have been women and children. Absolutely non-combatants. These were not the people that attacked Israel. And I have sat here now for multiple videos, in fact, every single video that I've put out on this conflict, and said Israel absolutely has a right to defend itself. And it has a right to go after the people that were responsible for the October 7th terror attack, which was a disaster, was a nightmare for Israel. You do have a right to defend yourself against this sort of thing. This is not defending yourself against terrorism. This looks like ethnic cleansing. And where the hell are these 2.2 million people going to go? Because Egypt is not going to open the doors to them. It's clearly made that evident with its statements on all of this. And importantly, one final point on this, where we can, again, suggest that this is looking more and more like ethnic cleansing. During that temporary pause, some of you probably saw this, there were people that were trying to go back north into northern Gaza. The fighting has ceased, at least temporarily. Let's go back to the north. Let's see what we can find. Did our friends and family who decided to stay, did they survive? Is our house still there? Is our apartment still there? Is any of our stuff still there? Is there anything we can salvage? They tried to return to the north to see if their lives were intact. People that did this were shot at by the Israelis. They were shot at by Israeli snipers. This, again, you are denying a certain group of people from existing in a certain area. You're deliberately trying to push them out, deliberately trying to force them out. So this is, again, a real issue when it comes to what Israel is doing here, because this is not defending yourself. And this is, at this point, indefensible. There is no way that you can, at this point, defend what Israel is continuing to do. Again, go after the terrorists? Sure. Go after the terrorists. Do not punish an entire population of 2.2 million people along with the bad apples in the group. And of course, there's been many statements from Israeli politicians that have likened all Palestinians to animals, and there was the minister who suggested, well, we could just nuke all of them and then our problems would go away. So we're dealing with some real extremists in the Israeli government right now, and what we may be looking at is Netanyahu trying to secure his political future. In other words, ensuring that he's not going to face a rebellion from within the Knesset by continuing this war. So he is killing Palestinians at the rate of tens of thousands of people, hundreds, thousands of people per day, in order to ensure that those extremists in the Knesset don't try to oust him from office. Do you see how sick this all starts to be when it all adds up? I'm Stuart Hooper. If you're new here to my X page or YouTube, please subscribe, please follow. I'm putting out videos that look at international politics from a critical angle, trying to look at all possible sides, trying to look at all of the people, all of the forces that are involved, and come to some conclusions that are not based on, well, let's just support the Israelis no matter what, or let's just support the Palestinians no matter what. Doesn't get us anywhere. We need to think critically about this, and specifically when we're talking about tens of thousands of people that are dead. Also, brief side note, this channel, this page, again, YouTube, X, wherever you're watching, we're going to be getting a huge production upgrade here very shortly. In the sense that I will be able to show articles on screen, show videos, comment on all this stuff, do it in live time, and do it all in one take, which is important for me because I'm a one-man army here. There's no editor behind the scenes. There's no money behind the scenes. This is just me doing this, putting this stuff out to the world, and hopefully being somewhat of a voice that can think critically at a time where we really do need to be doing that, and not too many seems to be capable of doing that, unfortunately, on both sides of the issue. Because again, Hamas is a terrorist group, that's undeniable. But the Israeli government response here, this is looking like ethnic cleansing. We should be able to say the same things, right? We should be able to equally criticize all groups. And how is this getting worse? Well, the US, in its infinite wisdom, made the announcement, just a stunning announcement really, that it was going to send bunker buster bombs over to Israel to deal with these supposed Hamas tunnels, this supposed underground command center that apparently exists below Gaza. Now, do Hamas, a terror group, have tunnels in the Gaza Strip? Yes. Do they use them to conduct attacks? Yes. Is this some grand underground facility with missile silos and secret underground jet bunkers? No, it's not. This is a network of crudely built tunnels where these terrorists store what few weapons they have underground and try to launch them whenever they can. And again, that's of course wrong and they shouldn't do that. But this is not something that needs bunker buster bombs to deal with. That's really the point. And in fact, Israel has already, over the few days since the end of this pause, has already conducted over 700 new strikes on targets throughout the Gaza Strip. I don't think a lack of bombs is really the issue here. And in fact, there's one group in particular that will be pretty happy about this new delivery of bombs, and that of course is going to be the group that I mention in every single video that I put out because it's the focus of my research. I think it should be the focus of a lot more people out in the world, political commentators. The military-industrial complex. They are, of course, super happy to hear about new bombs being shipped over to Israel because then they are going to be the group that is responsible for replenishing those supplies, meaning they're going to get a new influx of American money to pay for some new bombs. So the military-industrial complex is loving this. Everybody else should be in a position of immense critique of what is going on here because it is a disaster on a human level, as we've just discussed, and also perhaps on a strategic level, meaning the entire world, the entire region could be heading down a path of wider disaster. Because, yeah, if you think this is bad, just wait until a regional war breaks out and Lebanon gets involved and Syria gets involved and Iran gets involved and Yemen gets even more involved, because that is exactly what Yemen has been doing again over the last couple of days, over the weekend. The Yemeni rebel group, the Houthis, supported by the Iranians, decided that they were going to launch more attacks on 3 commercial ships in the Red Sea. I think we're still waiting on confirmation on the extent of the damage here, if anyone was hurt or anyone was killed. But the point is, they're escalating these attacks. They're conducting more of these attacks. And an American warship also shot down 3 drones in and around the Red Sea that it believed also had come from Yemen, from the Houthis, the Iranian-backed proxy militia group in Yemen, that are escalating these attacks throughout the region. And again, trying to directly target anyone or anything that they think is even in the slightest way associated with Israel. Now, the important thing here is that this may not just be limited to some Yemeni rebel groups that are backed by Iran launching a few missiles here and there. This could go a lot further than that. What if these missiles had struck one of these warships, done significant damage, let's say sunk one of these American warships, they get a lucky hit, it happens. What is the US going to do in response? Is the US going to go to war in Yemen? Is the US really ready to do that? Because remember also, something that I'm not sure if I mentioned in a prior video or not, the Pentagon had the audacity to come out and announce last week, oh, by the way, if this war goes any further, we don't have enough money to deal with that. I'm sorry, your $850 billion budget and you don't have enough money to deal with that? Kind of a side issue, but the point is, if this is going on and we have the US under attack in the Middle East because it has bases all over the place, because the US doesn't defend itself, it apparently defends the entire world, or at least that's what it claims. This is not the same Middle East from 20 years ago when the US could wander around the US, swing its big stick, hit these terrorist targets in the war on terror and basically do as it pleased, and nobody could really stop it. That is not the Middle East that we have today. Today we have a Russia that has been intimately involved in the Middle East via Syria. We have a Russia that has been intimately involved in the Middle East via Iran, meaning that Russia supports these two governments. The Syrian and Iranian governments support the Russian government with the provision of weapons to fight its war in Ukraine. Russia is here. Russia may respond if the US escalates what it's doing, again, in its supposed campaign here to assist Israel. So we're a few short steps away from a wider regional, if not global, conflict, the likes of which we haven't seen in a very, very, very long time. So I'm going to continue to cover this and continue to look at this. And again, for those of you that have made it to the end of these videos, you know what I've been saying on this since the start. What Hamas did on October the 7th was a terror attack. Israel has a right to respond to a terror attack, as any country does, as any nation would want to do. You want to respond if you're under attack. You need to be able to demonstrate to your people that you can protect them. That's no longer what this is, without question. This is now something that is going to unleash so many problems for Israel in the Middle East that Netanyahu might not only want to retire, he might want to take the next plane down to some island in the southern hemisphere, far, far away from the mess that is currently being created in the Middle East. Because this is not going to go away overnight. This isn't going to go away in a couple of years. When you have 2.2 million people that have been uprooted, their livelihoods have been destroyed, their families have been devastated, this is a problem that Israel is not ready to deal with, and I don't think the world is ready to deal with. So we need a political solution sooner rather than later, because a military solution clearly isn't getting us to where we want to be. Please share this video everywhere you possibly can. Subscribe if you're new to the channel on YouTube. Follow the page if you're watching on X. If you're a new viewer on YouTube, I highly doubt you've even found this video without some really deep searching, because YouTube just buries all of my videos now under an algorithm. They're not getting out anywhere. But if you're on X, X is a growing platform. X is where I've found a lot of support recently. Really appreciate that from all of you guys. But I do need help to grow here. So the more that you can share these videos, it really helps. It's free to hit the like button. It's free to hit the repost button. All of that helps to get these out into the algorithm. And also, I may have an announcement on another platform that I may be joining. Perhaps this week, maybe next week, we'll see. Where I'm going to expand into a wider range of content. I'll leave it at that for now. But thanks again for you guys making it all the way to the end of this video. We'll try to keep a critical eye on this and see where things go, but it's not looking good.